program is part of the AltElxn 2025 National Election Project, coordinated by the NCRA, ANREC. This initiative is supported by the Covering Canada Election 2025 Fund, in partnership with the Public Policy Forum, Rideau Hall Foundation, and the Michener Awards Foundation. On Wednesday, April 9th, 2025, CFUZ 92.9 FM partnered with the Penticton and Wine Country Chamber of Commerce to broadcast the 2025 Federal Election All Candidates Forum, live from the Cleveland Community Theatre. What follows is an excerpt. To listen to the forum in its entirety, please go to cfuz.ca and select Programs, Directory, and Special Events. The content of this program reflects local perspectives and does not imply endorsement of any political party. For more independent federal election coverage like this, please go to altelxn.ca. That's AltElxn.ca.
Good evening, everybody. I would first like to acknowledge that we are all gathered on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Syilx people of the Okanagan Nation. My name is Michael Magnuson, and I'm the Executive Director of the Penticton and Wine Country Chamber of Commerce. And I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I would also like to give a special thank you to all of the organizations who are making tonight possible, including our sponsors from the Association of Interior Realtors and Cascades Casino. We are also grateful that Peach City Radio is with us this evening, broadcasting tonight's forum. For those who cannot make it, thank you. And Groovy Productions, who is video recording this event, which will be available online later this week. And last but not least, a big thank you to the staff at the Cleveland Theatre and the staff, directors, and ambassadors of the Chamber of Commerce for providing this fantastic space to hear from all 4 out of 5 candidates this evening that are running in the federal election, with general voting day scheduled for Saturday, April 28th. The purpose of tonight's forum is to give you, the residents, business operators, and everyone else of the South Okanagan and West Kootenays a chance to hear directly from all of the candidates about their platforms and their positions on key issues affecting both our region and our country. Our goal is to help you make a more informed decision when you head to the polls on Election Day. With 4 of the 5 candidates present, this forum offers a valuable opportunity to compare their visions for Canada and how they plan to address the challenges we face as a community and as a nation. While there may be moments when you disagree with a candidate or their party's stance, we kindly ask that everyone remain respectful throughout the evening. For tonight's forum, candidates will be given 2.5 minutes to answer each question and 3 minutes for their closing remarks. From the stage, candidates will see a yellow light when 15 seconds remain to answer their question and a red light when 5 seconds remain. When the 2.5-minute mark arrives, the microphone will automatically be muted and the candidate will hand it off to the next speaker. Tonight's speaking order was randomized with the aim of ensuring that each candidate has a fair opportunity to answer a question first, last, and at various points in between. In addition to opening and closing remarks, candidates will be asked up to 9 questions depending on time. We'd like to thank everyone who took the time to submit a question. While it wasn't possible to include them all within our 2-hour format, we carefully reviewed the submissions, identified key themes, and incorporated those into the questions you'll hear tonight. I would now like to introduce to you the 4 of the 5 candidates who are running to represent the Similkameen, South Okanagan, West Kootenay riding in Ottawa. To my left, first is Philip Mansfield of the Green Party of Canada. To his left is Gloria Morgan of the Liberal Party of Canada. To her left is Linda Sankey of the New Democratic Party of Canada. And to her left is Barry Dewar of the People's Party of Canada. Helena Conans of the Conservative Party of Canada is unable to attend the forum due to a personal emergency. She says she always appreciates opportunities to connect with voters and is disappointed that she is unable to do so this evening. Opportunities for voters to meet with Helena are expected to resume next week. Thank you all and all of you for being here with us this evening. And with that said, we will get on to our first question. So to begin tonight's forum, please tell us a bit about yourself. Why are you running to become a member of Parliament, and what background, experience, or qualifications do you bring that make you the best candidate to represent this riding in Ottawa? And tonight we'll start with Philip.
Oui, bonjour. Hi, I'm Philip Mansfield, your Green Party candidate. I'd like to begin by thanking the civic people and their nation for allowing us to gather here. I've lived on a cherry farm in Penticton for nearly a decade. I've worked as a professor, a research scientist, an engineer, an inventor, and an entrepreneur. My work includes software for more ecological urban planning and artificial intelligence for improved health care. Healthy people and healthy communities rely on a healthy environment. Internationally, we know that billions are already suffering from food and water scarcity, disease epidemics, and homelessness due to climate change. We are seeing this here at home. In this riding, climate disasters have had an outsized effect on local industries, such as agriculture, forestry, and tourism. Extreme temperatures, wildfires, and floods have devastated crops, forests, homes, and parks. This is why I felt called to public service. If elected, I will dedicate myself to mitigating the damage, protecting your livelihood, and building a more resilient future. A sustainable, self-sufficient green economy requires a long-term plan and a balanced budget. Tax reform is needed to counter growing income inequality. Investments in young people and job transition supports through education and housing will allow them to contribute back to the tax stream sooner. Investments in innovation grants and innovative technologies create opportunities to build new local businesses that combat trade tariffs. This includes farming practices, renewable energy, and value-added processing of our raw materials. As your MP, I will work to protect our communities by ensuring our youth have a future to thrive, our workers are not left behind in the technological shifts, and through respect and diversity, we close the widening gap that divides us. On April 28th, vote for me, Philip Mansfield, to represent you and your voice.
Thank you, Philip. And Gloria.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here, and I'm humbled to be in front of you. I was born and raised at the north end of this beautiful valley. I went to Indian residential school in Cranbrook. So as a little girl, I had the pleasure of driving through this country and through that windy Highway 33. And I used to get very car sick. Siblings didn't like that. They had to look after me. But in saying that, I made lifelong friends because many Indigenous people from this area went to residential school with me. I've kept those friendships alive. So, I've worn many hats in my lifetime. I've picked all kinds of fruit in the orchards here. And how many of you pick pears? You know how heavy they are in those big bags. I carried an RCMP application around with me for 2 years as a single mom. I finally put it in. I was in the RCMP for 11 years. I left the RCMP. I went back to college and university, and I became a lawyer, represented so many people. I was also a Crown prosecutor. I was doing well, and then I got notice that they wanted me to run for chief, and I was chief for 2 terms of my community. Tough job, really tough job. When that ended, I had to look for another job, so I became a federal adjudicator with the residential schools. I went around this beautiful country like a judge, listening to stories of the people who suffered. Nova Scotia, Vancouver Island, Inuvik in January, and all places in between. But I was also chair of the Board of Governors and a board member of Okanagan College, the Board of Governors, and we looked after the Penticton campus as well as the satellite campuses in Oliver and Osoyoos, and I see that my time is really coming close. I was also on the Patient Care Quality Review Board for Interior Health. That was a really quick 15 seconds.
Thank you, Gloria. And over to Linda.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you to my co-candidates here tonight. Running for election is a unique kind of a job application, and putting yourself forward to be considered by all of you is an honor that I won't forget. I want to thank you for coming out tonight and listening and using your critical thinking, deciding how you might vote and how you might like to see our country move forward. My name is Linda Sankey, and I'm seeking nomination to present to you in the South Okanagan West Kootenay. Over the last 2 decades, I've dedicated my career to advocating for people, workers, marginalized communities, and all of you. From my early days at BC Housing, where I was a shop steward for many, to transitioning to a nonprofit society where I'm offering direct support to individuals in need, my career has been driven by a deep commitment to make a real difference in people's lives. As the executive director of this nonprofit, I've spent the last 22 years advancing services for marginalized and disabled individuals, honed my skills in project management, securing funding for capital projects including multi-million-dollar renovations, which required grant writing and contract management skills. I've overseen operation of 7 low-income housing properties that are here within the riding, and I've met people that are families with children under 19, seniors 60 and over, and people with disabilities, in helping them find various different kinds of housing opportunities, not just the ones my organization run. Connecting with landlords, talking about what people need for housing, helping people fit their budget into a real life where affordability is a problem. I know firsthand how to access affordable housing can transform lives, and I'm passionate about action for safe and stable places to live for all people. In addition to my work at the nonprofit that I'm at, I've been actively involved in advocating for policy solutions that direct.
Oh, that was time. So, thank you, Linda. And last but not least, Barry.
Yeah, you can ignore the Helena in front of me. Anyhow, my name is Barry Dewar. I live in Osoyoos. I've basically lived there since 1983. We bought our house, but I was there before that. My wife was born and raised in Oliver, so I think we're almost locals. So why am I running? I'm running because I think our government has lost track of goodness. And I think that's the key issue here, is goodness. Bring it back into the House of Commons. I think also that we need to really concentrate on, sorry, a little nervous. Got to put my glasses back on. I believe in goodness, but I also believe that what we need today is answers to questions that are far more than 1.5 minutes long or 2.5 minutes long. If you want more information, I have cards on the back. They've got my website on it, my email. And I think I'd love to talk to any of it, because there's so many big things. But my background, basically, I was a banker. I was a financial consultant in the South Okanagan. I did 3 land developments. And then I decided to become a hockey owner. Worst mistake I ever made. But anyways, it was fun. But it was not profitable. So that's me. I think I deserve consideration in the election. The PPC have a platform that you can look up online, and I'm running not for me, but for my grandkids. And that's it.
Thank you, Barry. Affordable housing remains one of the most urgent concerns across Canada, including the South Okanagan and West Kootenays. Both affordable home ownership and rental availability have been impacted by rising costs and supply challenges. While the federal government has introduced various housing strategies in recent years, if elected, what specific actions would your party take to make housing more affordable? And to begin this question, we go to Gloria.
Hi again. I know I didn't get to finish my opening, and I apologize for that, but one of my comments would have been, I've listened to your concerns, and we all deserve affordable housing. When I was driving through to Castlegar, I stopped and I tried speaking to some of the people that were in that little general store. And I approached this young man, probably in his 30s. You could see he was a hard worker. He was dressed with a high-vis vest. I tried to tell him who I was, but he looked at me and he told me his party affiliation. And he said, and I'm that because my children and grandchildren will never be able to afford a house of their own. And that really hit home, because if you're aware of issues in this riding and all across Canada, housing is an issue. I can't make you any promises if I'm elected, but I can tell you that the Liberal Party has done some great things in the recent past regarding housing. They want to create the BCH, the Build Canada Homes. And I was talking to another lady yesterday, and she remembers after the war, the houses that people lived in. And we're promising 500,000 new homes. She said, that's doable. They did that after the war, and they can do it. But what that requires is skilled trades, and the Liberal Party is looking at improving conditions, programs for apprentices. They've offered to increase the amount that apprentices can apply for to help them, and also to the ones who are giving them the apprentices, the apprentice training. Also, we are taking away the GST on first-time home buyers for up to $1 million or less for their first homes. I think those are really great initiatives. There are other things that the Liberal Party is doing. This is my first time running for federal politics, any kind of politics except chief. And so I don't have all the answers, but I can promise you, I know about affordable housing. I know, especially from my position as chief and resident on an Indian reserve, that housing, even there, is lacking. So thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. And Linda.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Gloria. This topic is an important one. There are many reasons why housing needs to be addressed. One of the really important ones is that small businesses are struggling to get people to be able to do jobs in our communities because they can't find a place for their workers to live that they can afford. This is something that I've heard again and again, in addition to folks that have very little income. We also have homeowners who want to purchase homes in our riding that are struggling to pay for the big high costs of housing here. Mr. Carney knows about the high cost of homes. As a landlord himself, he purchases large blocks of housing and then increases the rent everywhere. So the cost of living goes up for everyone because other landlords follow suit. Mr. Poilievre's plan is to build for corporate and not for renters. There's so many folks in our communities that are renters. People are not going to be able to afford things if corporate landlords take over our housing. I see people, families with little children, trying to make ends meet, trying to decide, do I pay for groceries or do I pay for rent? Oh, and might need medicine. How am I going to do those things? We have to use every tool at our disposal to help people find homes that they can afford. We have to stop big corporation landlords from buying up the homes that have been affordable and give nonprofits more funding to buy homes to keep housing affordable. My party will support first-time home buyers with a Canada Mortgage and Housing-backed mortgage. We'll launch a massive housing building program to help create jobs in construction, to keep our economy going and make sure people can find the homes that they need. I will stop there. I can go on. As many of you know, I will stop here.
Thank you, Linda. And we'll go over to Barry.
Well, it's sort of interesting when you're driving in today. First thing you notice on the bypass is all the homeless shelters. And there's, like I say, these questions are way bigger than what 2.5 minutes is going to come in. But the first thing is that the government, current government, has decided to create a Department of Housing. All you old people out there, in which is there's a lot of gray hairs, so I'm going to assume we're about the same age, we used to call the Department of Highways in British Columbia the Department of Holidays. Okay, can you imagine what the government building houses would be like? Like, I can't even imagine that happening. But I was a house builder, and there's way too much red tape. There's way too much things that you have to do. And with all the policies that tie into this, that dovetail back to this issue, it's not a simple answer. But I'm just going to tell you a little story about in Osoyoos. There was a developer, not me, I did develop in Osoyoos, but not this particular development. Guy built, I think it was about 20 units. They were called low-income housing. My son and his wife went to look at them. They're $800,000. $800,000 is low-income housing in Osoyoos, British Columbia. And it's not like they're on the lake or that they have a great view. The government gave them subsidies in order to have low-income housing. Give me a break. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But we can go on. The thing is, with housing, tariffs come into housing. The softwood lumber industry is getting tariffed to death. And if we counter-tariff, as some of the other parties are suggesting, then all we're doing is increasing the cost of housing, not reducing it. So where does this money come from? How do we afford this? Like, do you know that just the steel and concrete that go into a house, the foundations, we are already being taxed that by the U.S., and we counter-tariff that. Get our heads out of the sand and let's get things rolling in the right direction. I think with housing, you have many different options, and they're giving me the time's up. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. And to conclude this question is Philip.
Hi. The Green Party would like to tackle the problem of housing prices that are outstripping inflation by two methods. First of all, we'd like to tackle the problem at source. Large corporations are able to buy up housing as investments, and their investors are able to take advantage of real estate investment trust tax breaks. We would prevent corporations from buying single-family homes through regulation, and we would eliminate the unfair tax advantages of the REITs. We would also crack down on money laundering through real estate. And finally, we would make sure that when we do build public housing, that we make it affordable, which means 30% target of your income. The second main effort that we propose is to build a lot of affordable housing. This not only helps young people get started, allowing them to contribute to the economy sooner, but it also helps us value add our resources rather than shipping them abroad as raw lumber, for example. So a lot of the money that goes into this affordable housing actually comes back into the economy, helping all of us.
Great. Thank you very much. And another round of applause for all the candidates here tonight. Philip Mansfield of the Green Party, Gloria Morgan of the Liberal Party, Linda Sankey of the New Democratic Party, and Barry Dewar of the People's Party. Thank you for sharing your platforms, your vision, and your thoughts on how you would represent us in Ottawa. Again, tonight would not have been possible without the support from Association of Interior Realtors, Cascades Casino. Thank you to Peach City Radio for broadcasting live, Groovy Productions for recording this event, and the Cleveland Theatre for opening their doors to us, as well as the Chamber's directors, staff, and ambassadors who work throughout the forum. Have a great night.
You just heard an excerpt from the Penticton and Wine Country Chamber of Commerce 2025 Federal Election All Candidates Forum. CFUZ 92.9 FM was proud to partner with the Chamber to broadcast the forum to our community. To listen to the full audio, please visit cfuz.ca and select Programs, Directory, Special Events. The content of this program reflects local perspectives and does not imply endorsement of any political party. Thank you to the following people and organizations who made this program possible: the Penticton and Wine Country Chamber of Commerce and Executive Director Michael Magnuson, who emceed the forum; CFUZ's David Del Rizzo and Nils Finson, who broadcast the forum live with audio assistance from Cleveland Theatre technical staff; audio editing by myself, Claire Thompson. This program is part of the AltElxn 2025 National Election Project, coordinated by the NCRA ANREC. This initiative is supported by the Covering Canada Election 2025 Fund in partnership with the Public Policy Forum, Rideau Hall Foundation, and the Michener Awards Foundation. For more independent federal election coverage, please go to altelxn.ca. That's ALTELXN.ca.